you can have all the money in the world, but if you don't control what you're doing every day, or at least you don't control most of what you're doing, then it's not worth it.
I'm fascinated by this idea of sense of self. All of us can look back to a time early in life when we first had some experience. Could be in art class, could be fishing, could be sport. Doesn't really matter what the exact experience was, but where we first realized that there are really cool things in the world. Like something kind of turned us on at the level of excitement, or maybe scared us or something like that. Do you have any recollection of such an event? Maybe not the first one, but do you ever remember hearing or seeing something as a young kid, and maybe you could tell us how young, and just thinking like, yeah, more of that, please?
Kind of like the question here, when was there a moment you realized I'm a person, right? I'm a person with my own thoughts, and I can make things happen. And for me, all those answers are usually fairly gradual. You know, there's like a little thing that indicates, and you get a clue, and then you move a little bit further down that road, then you get another clue, and then you move a little bit further down that road and you get another clue. I remember my mom took me shopping. I was probably about 10 years old, and I needed to get pants for school. And when I went into the store, there was a girl that was a retail sales girl. She was probably about 16. And I started chatting her up. And I kind of recognized it a little bit, but I sort of didn't too. And I just was chatting to this girl, and I was making her laugh. I was having a good time with the whole thing, and, you know, putting on the pants and spinning around and she was laughing. And my mom was sort of talking to me about the fact that, what were you trying to do to that girl? And I was thinking to myself, I kind of liked that girl. She was pretty. And I don't know why that popped into my head, but I just remember thinking, hey man, there's a whole world out there, and let's go make it happen.
Yeah, it's a great story because I think it really speaks to this thing that you mentioned, which is that when we first start to realize we have a sense of self, it has something to do with cause and effect on the world. Like we can have an impact in some way on things outside of us.
When I joined the military, you join the military and you get a blank slate. So no one cares where you came from. No one cares what you did. You were the captain of the football team, captain of the soccer team. No one cares. No one cares what your grades were. No one cares what you got on the SATs and no one cares about anything. It is, hey, if you do this thing, if you perform this task and you perform it well, you will get recognition. You will hopefully get more control over your own destiny, which is the ultimate in compensation for human beings. To have more control over your own destiny is the ultimate compensation. You know, you and I were talking before we hit record, like you can have all the money in the world, but if you don't control what you're doing every day, or at least you don't control most of what you're doing, then it's not worth it. The reason people try and make money is so they can have more autonomy in their life. And so in the military, it becomes very clear, and it became very clear to me very quickly, that if I performed well, I actually got a lot more freedom with what I did. Even in boot camp, you know, if you pass an inspection in boot camp, you don't have to redo your locker, or you don't have to make your bed again because you did it right the first time. And so you have an extra 15 minutes. And so for me, really, that's when I started to realize, oh, what I'm doing right now is going to impact not only what's going to happen to me in the next hour, but in the next 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. And I think that's the biggest miss that we have when we're growing up, because you didn't realize, oh, what I'm doing right now is going to affect where I'm going to be in the future. And it didn't happen until you were out of high school and you went to junior college and you're like, oh, wait a second, I can actually put my life together in a positive way. When you're 14, you're thinking, hey, what am I going to do tomorrow? And then at some point you learned, and so did I, oh, the actions that I take now are either going to positively impact my future or they're going to negatively impact my future. And the more I focused on doing things that are going to positively impact my future, the better my life became. And I think that's a very huge lesson to learn that I know I didn't figure out for quite some time.